Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesdays. Very glad you're with us today. It is June 21st, the first day of summer 2022. For those people on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free just to put your questions into the Zoom chat window. For those watching on Facebook, thank you for joining us today. Please just put your questions in the comment field. We're monitoring both feeds, and we'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Also in the networking box, if you want to put in your personal information so you connect with other people on the call, you're welcome to do that also. Please note this event is being recorded. It's currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I started a second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me, you can get it from me any Friday at our networking lunch if you'd like to join us there. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007. I'll tell you about our upcoming program at the end of this session, and we have a really good session that you probably would want to attend coming up this Friday. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. You got to remember, your resume and your LinkedIn profile will not get you a job, but what it will do, it will get you a phone call. How well you practice your interview skills is going to determine if you get that job. So if you'd like to get more information or schedule your own free practice interview, just go to www.dallaspitcrew.com. Well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who rotate through on a monthly basis. And once a month, they go and they offer their expertise. They all talk about LinkedIn from a little bit different point of view. That's why it's nice to have these different people, and hopefully you'll pick something up from everybody that you hear. This week, our speaker is Ruth Lipsky. She's going to talk about how to drive recruiters to your LinkedIn profile. Ruth is a career coach. She also works for Lee Heck Harrison, helping job seekers in what they do. So Ruth, thank you for being with us. Let me make you a co-host so you can share. Let's see here. First meeting of the week. I'm not quite sort of out of practice here. Here we go. Now you're a co-host. So Ruth, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody who's in this type of job search activity. So we're going to be talking today about how we're going to encourage a recruiter to come and look at your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn has really 2 purposes. One is when you have applied to a job on a recruiter's career board and they are looking at your resume, they may want to go onto your LinkedIn profile and take a look at the full set of skills and experience that you have. A resume quite often is simply a subset of everything that you've done in your career, and a LinkedIn profile will give them more information about you. But the second reason you need a LinkedIn profile is because recruiters are using LinkedIn more and more to find people quickly and to be able to offer an invitation for an interview. Over a third of all job offers in a company these days are coming when a recruiter goes out onto LinkedIn, searches for a title, some experience, maybe a geographic location, and comes up with people who are perfectly capable of filling a job. So recruiters are looking for people on LinkedIn. You need to be ready for them. And the first thing to know about LinkedIn is that LinkedIn calculates a score for you every day. And the score is going to increase based on your activity, but it's also going to have a base score that it has information about what do you have on your LinkedIn profile, what content, how complete is it, how many connections do you have? Do you have anything in your interest area to indicate companies or groups or schools or influencers that you're interested in? Are you doing job searches? That's going to increase your score. Are you networking with people? Are you adding them as connections? That's going to increase your score. Your score will decrease if you don't have activity on LinkedIn. So every day you are off of LinkedIn and not actively interested and clicking around and doing things, your score starts going down. It's recommended that you have at least 3 different days, more is better, of activity on LinkedIn every week in order to keep your score at a high enough level. Now you can't see your score. Nobody can see your score. It's something that's part of their algorithm. They keep track of it, but it's not something that you'll be able to see and be able to walk through and determine if you're going higher or lower. Nor will LinkedIn tell you what kind of values it puts on the different aspects of LinkedIn. We can guess, however, that if you write a recommendation for someone, that's probably going to give you more points than if you simply endorse them for a skill, because you're putting more time and more effort and more thought into a recommendation than you would on something that was as simple as endorsing. So when a recruiter does a search, they're going to be putting in a job title into their LinkedIn recruiter software. In this case, they're looking for a project manager in the greater Chicago area, looking for people who have particular skills in business strategy and in analytics. Well, what comes back is 42,798 possible candidates that match this type of a search. Recruiters aren't going to put that much time into it, so they're going to be using the spotlight feature across the top here in order to narrow it down and try and identify the people who are probably the best fit. So spotlight features. Are you open to new opportunities? That's one of the features that you can add on to your profile. Do you have a connection to people in their company? Are you engaged in a talent brand, which means are you following the company so that that company name is in your interest area? How likely are you to respond? The likely to respond number here is something that LinkedIn calculates that you can't see. If a recruiter sends a message to you, it will come onto your message page on LinkedIn. And if you ignore it, your score for likely to respond starts going down. If you respond to every recruiter, your score goes up. And the response can be not interested in that job, not interested in moving to that city, or not interested in that job. I'm looking for a more senior position that includes these skills. Something to get back to the recruiter so that they know why you're not interested. And of course, if you are interested, kind of nice to be able to say, yes, sounds like a job that does fit my skills. Let's talk. So that message tab is going to be an important one for you. Recruiters do need to hear from you. Now, if it's somebody messaging you and is trying to sell you something through LinkedIn, you can ignore all of those. That's not part of the calculation. But recruiters are interested in people who have applied for their company before. An interest in their company is a high endorsement for them. They're going to be interested in the people who have expressed an interest in their company. Now, we have 3 people on our screen, Emily and Shannon and Aubrey, as the top 3 candidates for this search. LinkedIn never does anything randomly. There's a reason why these 3 people are the top 3 candidates, and it has something to do with the title and the location and the skills, but it has a lot to do with the spotlight features as to are they available, are they interested in your company, are they active on LinkedIn, and that's going to determine your position. Recruiters can often go down to 100 different people. And look how little information LinkedIn gives them for this search. It'll give them their current headline and where they're working. It'll give them what their past 2, maybe 3 jobs are. And it'll give them a little bit of information about, are they following the company? Are they open to new opportunities? But there's not a lot of information that recruiters can see. They have to go into your profile. One of the things that is going to help you get the attention of a recruiter is if you expand your title so that your headline tells more about who you are and what value you bring to the company. So in these cases, we're just looking at somebody who's a project manager, a senior project manager, an engineering project manager. But if you had more information in your headline, it would give a recruiter a much better feel for whether you are the type of candidate that they're looking for. We used to think that the most important part of your profile was your title, because we felt that the title was the piece of information that recruiters were keying off of most. That's not true. Last September, LinkedIn gave us some information that said that the most important factor in being found by a recruiter is mutual interest. If you're interested in that company, if you're interested in finding a new job, that's more important than your job title. So you notice that the 5 items that were in the spotlight area of the recruiter search are showing up here. Are you responding when a recruiter reaches out? Have you connected to employees within that company so that you know a little bit more perhaps about the culture? Are you following that company on LinkedIn so that you see what new products, what employee engagement they have? Are you open to talk about a new job? And have you ever applied for a job in the company before? That's more important than your job title and your skills and experience. But really close behind is the relevance to the job that the recruiter is looking for the titles that are a match, the key skills that they're looking for, and if you've passed any of the skill quizzes. So most of your activity needs to be on setting up a profile that is going to be indicative of the skills and experience that you have in your career. But don't forget that a huge part of success in getting the recruiters interested in you deals with reaching out to the companies and responding to people on LinkedIn. Okay on that piece? Okay, so let's talk about how we're going to increase the visibility of your profile so that recruiters are going to be able to find you. The first thing, since we noticed that there's a limited amount of information that LinkedIn gives a recruiter during a recruiter search, the headline area quite often is just the default. Here's your job title and here's your company. You need to be able to expand that. LinkedIn expanded this area to 220 characters in hopes that you're going to put more information in here. So being able to say that you're looking for an accountant position, a senior accountant position, because you're good at increasing productivity in highly regulated industries, gives the recruiter way more information about who you are and if they're interested in that type of are going to be very specific. So if you're somebody who is maybe a full stack application developer, you're going to put in the languages that you are most comfortable with so that the recruiter knows what they're getting aside from just the title. If you're someone who is a higher level position, like a director of customer relations, you might want something that's a little bit broader, a little bit more strategic, helping the world become more customer centric. During an interview, they can ask how you're planning on doing that and what skills you've had in doing that, but at least gives them a feel for where you feel your skill is. IT project manager, I can explain high tech to my mom. That shows a sense of humor, and that shows strong communication skills and possible liaison skills into other departments. So you can be as factual or as creative or business analyst, introvert working in a department of extroverts. Put in the humor if you want, put in the skills, put in the information that you think makes you different from other people who are looking at those same types of job titles. You want to distinguish yourself, and you don't have many ways to do it, on that LinkedIn recruiter list. But the headline area for what you're looking for today, as well as the titles that you've got and experience, can give the recruiter way more information about what it is that you've done and what you can do for the future. LinkedIn has recently added a skill quiz as a possibility for you. They had used endorsements for years and years where they felt that the more times you had a skill that was endorsed, the higher your skill level probably was. They quickly discovered that that wasn't necessarily true. And simply because you had a fair number of endorsements didn't mean that you were necessarily highly qualified for it. So they created the skill quizzes. They're in 3 different categories. You can have technical, business skills, or design skills. If you pass one of these tests, LinkedIn is telling us that you are 20% more likely to get hired for a job that has a need for that skill. What's the test look like? It's about 15 to 20 multiple choice questions. This is a timed test. You can't get out of it and come back in. So once you're in it and you're taking the test, you have to complete it. You need a 70% in order to pass the test. And when you pass the test, you'll be awarded a badge. It goes right next to the skill. It's like a clipboard with a check mark on it. And if you roll your cursor over it, it says that you've passed the LinkedIn assessment. If you do not pass, nobody sees that. So you don't need to worry about that being visible to anybody. The badge is only good for a year. It's assumed by LinkedIn that most of these areas have updates, have changes, have new features coming out, and they want to make sure that you're conversant with all of those. So you need to retake the test on a yearly basis. Now, if you did not pass, you can retake the test, but you have to wait for 3 months. If you pass it at that point, then you get your badge. If you fail the test again, then it's no longer available to you. So brush up on any areas that you feel might be needed, that you might not be quite comfortable with. Now, why is it important? Because when a recruiter is in the LinkedIn Recruiter software and they're looking for, in this case, a software engineer with these skills, 3 of these skills have tests associated with them. The JavaScript, the Swift, and the Ruby on Rails are all tests that are available. And the recruiter has the ability to say, I want to see the people first who have passed these tests because we need somebody who can do this type of coding. So the first person on the list here has had these 2 tests taken and passed. On Swift, may not have taken it, or if they took it, it didn't pass. Don't know. But recruiters are able to search by, have you passed this skill? It's important to us. So if it's important to the recruiter on LinkedIn, such that recruiter has given them the space to be able to look for it, then you probably want to be able to take those tests. It gives you a real boost and brings you to the top of the candidate list. Okay, and skill tests. In the skills section, LinkedIn keeps track of what recruiters are looking for. And recently, the top 5 soft skills that recruiters are looking for are creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. Since those show up most often on recruiter searches, you probably need to have those in your profile. You can put them in your skills section if you want, or you can put them in the about section. You can put them in the headline section. So any place you want those is fine, but you really do need to have these as part of your profile. These are the ones that recruiters are looking for. Now, if you're looking for a remote job, of working from home, then you're going to want to indicate that you've got the ability to work from home because you have the self-management skills to do so. So consider adding in active learning, resilience, stress tolerance, and self-motivation to your profile. A lot of people want to work from home that aren't very good at it. Being able to say that you've got the managerial and the personal responsibility to be able to do well at home is going to make it easier for you to talk to a recruiter about a work from home job. Now, we're also going to want to talk about adding new information to your profile. And it's generally easier if we go out to the LinkedIn profile and talk directly on this. Your profile itself probably has the information from your resume, because LinkedIn was originally set up as an online resume, and everything on your resume can be pushed into one of these areas. But there are more areas on LinkedIn that you should be looking at, and they would be in this Add Profile section. And being able to look at the core information. If you're looking for a job, you may want to consider Add Career Break. A career break allows you to put into your experience section a reason for why you're not working right now. And it could be that you're in the midst of a career transition, or you were laid off, or you are taking the time to become better educated, you're traveling. There are a lot of different ways that you can put this in. Don't put it in immediately. Normally, you don't utilize this until you've got a gap that is big enough to warrant a question as to why aren't you working? And that would normally be at about the 3-month point where you would want to add something in to say, why are you not working at this point? So utilize that, because we've always said that we should have that. It's nice that they've actually added something in that's been standardized. Now, in the recommended section, make sure if you are licensed or if you have certifications that you put that into your profile. It can be in any number of places. Sometimes it's going to be after your name in your headline area. Sometimes it's going to be in the areas where you have your experience and you talk about getting that license during that time. But utilizing this area, it is searchable by recruiters. And instead of having to look at your whole profile for that certification, putting it in this area makes it easier on them. Now, courses are a big part of your profile too. And when you go into the courses area, it's going to ask you, what classes have you taken? What job were you in when you took that class? Now, if you took the time out of your work day in order to attend classes, maybe that were just voluntary for your company, how to handle difficult situations, maybe a training class on a new product, you can add those in, because most companies are looking for people who are trainable, who can learn new things. And adding in the courses that you've taken are indicative of you've learned new things. You've taken the time out, you're able to organize your workload so that you can take classes. Also in this area, you should put in the classes that you took that came from the compliance team or the legal team in some companies that were the annual required classes. And most companies have that. Something on privacy, something on phishing, something on good behavior, anti-money laundering, discrimination. So add those in, because those classes indicate that you understand the importance of why you took those classes and the recognition that you're going to be taking those classes every year if you're continuing in this type of job anyway. So adding courses gives more information to the recruiter about what you've done and what you feel is important. Other things to be considering would be in the additional area. If you've done any volunteer work, put that onto your LinkedIn profile, no matter how far back that was. Recruiters are interested in people who are giving back to the community because that reflects well on their company. Companies these days have a social profile and feel that they have an obligation to the community. If you're already volunteering, you're the type of person they're looking for to represent their company. Adding in other information, particularly things like projects. This project area is the second largest area of LinkedIn because it is 2,000 characters deep. You can put in the name of a project that you had, but this description right here gives you time to go through the full star format. Here's what the situation, here's what the background was. Here are the tasks that I did. Here are the activities, here are the results. If you have something that you think is a highlight of your career, you need to add that into the project area because it allows you to add a lot of information here. And you probably have it in your experience section as one of your bullet points. You may put it in your about section someplace. This gives you plenty of room to talk about how you did your work, how you interacted with other people, how you got the results that you did. So having this description area available to you is a huge benefit to you and adds a lot of space that is searchable. So you can put a lot of keywords in here and prove how you use those skills. The other part of this area is that you can now add causes. And when you click on the add causes, LinkedIn provides you with the ability to say that you're interested in certain parts of the world we live in. It is not searchable at this time, so no recruiter is going to be looking for somebody who's interested in a specific area here, but it adds a little bit more information, a little bit of personal information to your profile so that a company can see a little bit more about who you are and where your interests lie. Now, we said that we needed to expand the headline area so that when the information came up on a search, the recruiter would be able to see a little bit more about you. Being able to put in a couple of different titles, in my case, a career coach and a career consultant, pretty much the same thing, but companies use one or the other. So I use the pipe, the straight up and down thing above the enter key, because that means or in LinkedIn, to indicate that I've got two different job titles that I'm interested in. Putting in information about what I'm skilled in, focused on, able to, specializing in, or simply putting in a couple of keywords that are associated with success in your job. You're going to do it in this headline area, but you should also consider doing it in your experience area. So you have a title that was given to you by a company, but you can also put also known as by using that pipe so that you've got a title match regardless of what title the recruiter is looking for. So sometimes you'll need to translate what the title is that you had for the recruiter so that they know who you were. So in this case, I was in the training and development department, but all of my work was really associated with putting the information online. So I put in parentheses, instructional designer and e-learning developer as two titles that I feel were the same type of role that I was doing. So if a recruiter was doing a search for an instructional designer, they would not normally be able to find me because that was not my title there, but I sure did enough work in that job that I could accept the job as an instructional designer. So I put that in parentheses. So if you've got a job title that is broad, like a project manager, program manager, data analyst, sometimes in parentheses, you need to be a little bit more specific about what you did and other titles that you feel you were capable of picking up for the future, because that's really the role that you had. Now, in your skills area, you can take the skill quiz, and normally that's going to be found on the items that you got under your tools and technology. And when you take this quiz, if you pass it, it will give you, at this point, your check mark and your badge. And it's an easy thing for recruiters to find because they can go into your tools and technology and see what you have here also. And when you're taking the courses, these are going to be the courses that I have to take every year. They're all 8 of them every year. I'm going to put that down because that indicates that that's an important part of how I do my job. The projects are going to show up in this area as a separate grouping so that a recruiter is able to come and take a look at what you've added in that you think is important for how you're going to be able to do the same type of work for their company. And in the interest area, your companies, put in every company that you're interested in. If you're applying for a company, whether it be through LinkedIn or through the company's career board, add those to this area because recruiters are looking for it. They want to find the people who are interested in their company so they don't have to spend a lot of time explaining it. And you can also put in things that you're just interested in. TED conferences, I enjoy. I look at a lot of those. I think I've got NASA in here. I've got the Park Service. I've got Toastmasters. Find things that show who you are. Recruiters certainly understand that you want to be able to showcase your skills and your experience and who you are. But they also want to know a little bit more about your management style and who you are because they need to make sure that you're going to fit into their culture. And the more information you have on LinkedIn and the more information you share with them, the better off you'll be. So let's take a look. And somebody tell me a company that they're looking for.
You either can unmute your mic if you'd like to, or you can just type in the chat window, tell us a company that you'd like to apply for a job with. Patterson Veterinarian Supply.
Wow.
There we go.
Okay, right up on top. The first one that comes up is normally the one that you're going to want. And you can follow it immediately from here, but you also want to view the page. So here we're taking a look at Patterson Veterinary Supply, trusted expertise, unrivaled support. That's a nice one, isn't it? You'll notice that you have some tabs here that are going to be able to provide you with more information. If you go into the Jobs tab, you can create a job alert for the companies that you're interested in. And when you create a job alert, you're going to be able to put in a job title, and it's going to be a drop-down list. So you're going to have to pick something that is already preset up for you. It's not a free form field for you. But putting in, it's a Colorado company, and then create your job alert. When you create a job alert, that means that anytime this company posts a job on LinkedIn that you qualify for, LinkedIn is going to push back to the recruiters the profiles of the people who match that job requirement. And that's going to be a lot easier on the recruiters because now they're going to say, you're people who are interested in my company, interested in these jobs that I'm looking for. I'm going to go take a look at these folks first. So creating a job alert for each one of the companies that you are interested in is going to be a huge plus because that's where the mutual interest comes in. You're letting them know that you're interested in them. They're going to reciprocate by being interested in you. You can only have 20 job alerts on your LinkedIn profile. And some of them you're going to want to use in your jobs tab so that you can identify the jobs that you're most interested in. But if you've got a couple companies that you truly do think are good fits for you, create job alerts for them. Now, the other thing to do is to take a look at the people side of it. LinkedIn is going to be able to show you 533 employees who are currently working at this company and who have a LinkedIn profile. When you click on this See More, you can see where these people are. They're really spread out, aren't they? There's a Next button here. And if you click Next, it tells you new columns, what they do and what they study. What they do tells you what department they work in. So if you're interested in working in the information technology area of this company, you click on that 38, and here are the 38 people who are in that department for that company. Gives you an opportunity to look for people that you might know, or to be able to connect with people that might be useful to you. But after you take a look at what department they're in, you can click Next again, and it'll show you if you're connected to anybody right now. You've connected with people over the years, and you probably have no idea where all of them have ended up. So I've got a second-degree connection here, which means that Dan and I are both part of this person's LinkedIn profile. Makes it easy to connect with Dan, to be able to send a note to him saying, I see we have a mutual connection on LinkedIn. I'm interested in the veterinarian supply company. I have a background in engineering. How do you like working there? Let's connect. So having a way of connecting that makes it worthwhile for that person to consider connecting to you. Connect with people in the company that you're interested in, because recruiters can see that, and LinkedIn gives preference to anybody who is connected to somebody in a company that's looking for a job. Now, one of the people you want to connect with is probably a recruiter. So if we type in recruiter, we've got 3 people out of the 500 and some odd that have recruiter either currently in their profile headline or who have had that job in the past in their experience section. So you have to be able to take a look and make sure that if you're talking to somebody that you think is a recruiter, maybe they're a recruiter today, or maybe they were a recruiter in a previous job, keep track of them. But it's best to find people who have a more complete profile. When they've got a picture, and when they've got a background, it might be an easier person to connect with because they might be more active on LinkedIn. Never use these white connect buttons because they send the automated response. I'd like to connect with you as part of your profile. That doesn't do you an awful lot of good because you haven't convinced them that they should connect with you. Always go on to a person's profile and use either the blue connect button or the connect button that's found in the more area, because that's going to allow you to personalize the message. And in this case, your message might be, I'm interested in, and then put the company name, because I would give them a business reason, or I use your products and I'm impressed with them. Let's connect. But you've got 300 characters, play around with it and find the right way to talk with somebody to find out, can you connect with me? I need to hear more about the company. And as soon as you're connected with somebody from the company, you're generally going to hear more about it. So in this case, we're done with recruiters. You can also look for somebody who might be the hiring manager. So if you think that the person who's going to hire you is the VP of sales, 7 people who are VPs of sales. Taking a look through each one of these people's profiles might give you an indication of where the job actually is in the organization. And you can send a connect request. I've applied for this job, be specific about it. It looks like it might be in your organization. I'm interested because I have strong skills in blank, blank, blank. Let's connect. Let's discuss. But remember, don't use the white connect button. Click on the name or the photo and use the blue connect button, or go into the more feature and find a way to be able to give a better story on why you want to connect. So connecting within a company, everybody okay with that? All right, let's take a look at another way to connect, and that's going to be through a college or a university. Somebody tell me a school that they went to that we can do a search on.
Please put in there a university that you're like us to look up. Auburn.
Auburn University. Now, if you went to Auburn, you're probably already following it because LinkedIn will take any information from your education area and put it into your interest area. So let's go right on to viewing the page. Hope that looks familiar to anybody who has been there. You're not worried about jobs in this case, but you are interested in alumni. And here LinkedIn is going to give you 170,537 people who attended this school in the last 122 years and who have a LinkedIn profile. So where they live suddenly is not as important as where they work. So if you're looking for people who are working in a company that you're interested in, is that what it was? The 9 people who attended this school who are currently working at the company that we had just looked at. These people who show up used to work here, but it's not their current company. So contacting some of these people, you used to be at Patterson, but you're not, why'd you leave? Might be an interesting conversation. But if you click on these 9 people, here they are. Now you can send a connect request to the people who you think are most useful to you. Are they in recruiting? Are they in the department you're interested in? But you're going to connect with them by saying, I see you also attended Auburn University. Go Tigers. Is it Tigers? Maybe, maybe not. I enjoyed my time there too.
War Eagles.
War Eagle. War Eagle.
There you go. Okay, see, you know the right ones. And then you can say, I'm interested in a job at Patterson. How do you like it there? Let's connect. But you're giving them a great opportunity to connect with you because you went to the same school. You've got to be a great person because you went to the same school that they did. And that's one of the more valuable ways of connecting with people and getting their help. Do you know who the hiring manager is? Do you know which recruiter is handling this particular position? So once you connect with somebody through your alumni association, they're generally comfortable talking to you about other aspects of their job, what's going on in the company. I'm surprised that we had that many that came up there. Well done. Now, in the same way, if you had a lot more than 9 and you didn't want to have to sort through them all, you use the next buttons because it gives you the same type of information. What do they do? What department are they in? What did they study? Here's your next. Are you connected with them at all? What skills do they have that might be in common to the ones that you have, particularly if it's something that is unusual as opposed to something that's just leadership. So connecting through schools and universities, everybody comfortable with that? The other thing to know about connecting with schools and universities is that you don't need to just use your current schools. If you have a spouse, if you have a cousin, if you have a sibling that went to another school, add those into your profile. It's one of the more underutilized areas, is that people think that the only schools that they can have in their profile are the ones that they actually attended. Not so. If you are paying tuition for somebody to go to school, you owe it to yourself to put that school in your profile. You're interested in it. You've got a vested interest. And when you're connecting with alumni, you can say, my son is attending this school, loves it dearly. I see that you're in this field. I am also and have skills in this. Would love to connect. So utilize the schools that are in your social network, not just the ones that you attended, because that can be a huge way of adding to the profile that you've got and expand the number of people that you're comfortable with. Now, real quickly, the home page is going to be an important part of getting your profile score higher. LinkedIn is going to be pushing information to you that it feels is of interest to you. And as you go through, you're going to have the opportunity to like or to comment or to share the information that is being sent to you. Do not use any of the like features. That is way too Facebookish, and we don't need that. But you do get a lot of points for commenting on articles, because that's carrying on a conversation. You'll get full points for a comment if you have 8 words or more in your comment section. So it can't just be thanks for sharing, because that's only 3 words. It should be thanks for sharing. I hadn't considered this aspect. I'll use this information in the future. So put something there that is a little bit more of a discussion and a recognition of what that information was that was shared to you. So start by looking at what LinkedIn thinks you should be interested in. If you don't like it, you can always use the 3 dots to the side to say that you either don't want that information, don't want to see this type of thing. LinkedIn is eventually going to put in some filters for I don't want to see political statements, which I think would be a nice thing, because sometimes they can be pretty one-sided. But being able to comment on information on this page is going to increase your profile score considerably. An even better way to do it is you can start your own post and talk about things that are of interest to you. So being able to click here and say, what do you want to talk about? And then adding hashtags that might increase your voice, a hashtag management or a hashtag interview is going to send this information to people beyond simply the folks that are in your network. But LinkedIn gives a lot more information on that. So real quick on hashtags, if you're familiar with hashtags from other areas, you start with a hashtag, there is no dash after it. But if we wanted to take a look at hashtag job search, I'm going to take you to a page where you've got 1 million people that are following this topic. So if you put hashtag job search in a comment that you are stating on that home page, it's got the potential to reach nearly 2 million more people than what you probably have in your network. And everything on this is all about looking for a job. You can follow it. And in that case, more information is going to go on your home page that deals with the job search. And being able to have things that are of interest to you is going to give LinkedIn a better feel for what type of information they should be sending you. The hashtag virtual career fair, the number of followers changed considerably here because these are all of the virtual career fairs that are being set up. It'll give information about when it's set up, how to get a link into it. That would be a good one to be part of too. Okay, any questions?
If anybody has a question, you're welcome to unmute your mic and ask. I haven't seen any questions in the chat window. Going once, going twice. Anybody? Well, Ruth, I think you covered it.
Okay, back to you, Jeff.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time. If you'd like to connect with Ruth, here is what her LinkedIn profile looks like. Be sure to look for that blue connect button and be sure to send a personal note. Let her know why you should connect. Tell her you saw her today on LinkedIn Tuesday. Just, always send that personal note. Next week, our speaker is going to be Kurt Vondermatter. He's a retained search executive at Linked Executive Search. He pays LinkedIn the big bucks for the full-blown recruiting package. And he's going to talk about LinkedIn from a recruiter's eye. So we'll look at a search and we'll show you what he looks for when he's trying to find you. All right, I need everybody to please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. As we said before, whenever you see a white connect button, you do not want to click on that one. You want to look for that blue connect button, and then you can always send a personal note. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us. Tomorrow, Interviewing Wednesdays, we should have a practice interview with the practice interview team. If you'd like to be interviewed or like to schedule a free interview, go to dallaspickcrew.com and you get all the information you need about scheduling an interview. This Thursday, being the 4th Thursday of the month, Jason Hopper will be with us to talk about outside the box networking, unconventional ways to get noticed. So please join us Thursday at 1 o'clock. And then this Friday, as I mentioned earlier, we have a very interesting presentation this Friday. Minna Brown, who's written a book called Be Sharp, and she's going to talk about the one-page bio. I think a one-page bio is an extremely effective tool for everybody in job search. So please consider, if you don't have one, come join us. You're going to want to see this presentation and consider starting a one-page bio. Because when you send your resume out, your resume says you're screaming, I'm looking for a job, help me. But when you send a bio out, you're just telling people who you are, what you do, and it doesn't scream, hire me, hire me. If you'd like to join the Career DFW or Career USA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to do one or both. The Career DFW group now has over 13,800 members. You do not need to live in the DFW area to join that group or to join either group. Those are just, I started one group with each website that I started. This session was recorded. It is going to be on the Career DFW Facebook page and, more importantly, the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, click on playlist. Otherwise, you'll see over 300 different videos that are up there right now. When you click on playlist, there'll be 7 different playlists that'll pop up. Click on LinkedIn if you want to see the LinkedIn one. Don't click on the video there, but click where it says view full playlist with the red arrow. And then up will come a list of all the different dates and speakers, and you can go back and watch any one of the videos that you'd like. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, please join the Career USA mailing list. Just send an email to Career USA, the + subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. That way you can click on the Zoom link and you can join, just join the session that's happening. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. All of our speakers are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 13 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. Please consider making a donation when you get your next job. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Have a great Tuesday, and hopefully we'll see you later in the week.